Hey, what's up, everybody? It's your girl, Show Nicole, and welcome back to my channel. So, all right, I've been missing in action for like 2 weeks. I'm supposed to record like every other week, but unfortunately, the week that I was actually due to record, I had a prior engagement, and then last weekend, I actually had a baby shower to go to, so I wasn't able to go and record. So here I am today. As you can see, I'm not in the studio. Due to like the weather, the rain and stuff, like I absolutely hate traveling in the rain. I love rain. I love rain when I'm indoors and the safety of my house, but traveling in rain, I hate it. So I am recording at home today. Um, so the title of this episode is Church Girl. I usually don't really um title my episodes, like I just explain what it's going to be about, but I don't really title it. But this particular episode, I decided um to put a title on it, excuse me, because it's based on me. um and growing up a lot, I heard that term church girl a lot, like a lot. um and it was hard, it was hard trying to fit in and knowing that you're different and knowing that you don't quite fit in, and going to church and learning about God, but still wanting to be popular and wanting to be in the in crowd and wanting to do the things that your friends was doing that you can't do, you can't partake in. Um, so yeah, it was tough on me growing up, having to make those decisions. Like, all right, am I going to follow what my pastor is saying and follow the things of God, or you know, or am I just going to go out there in the world and just experience the world for myself and see what it's like? And honestly speaking, I did a little bit of both. I did a little bit of both. So, I've been in church for as long as I can remember. I think I've been in church since I was like 5 years old. I'm 33 years old. And let me tell you something. It's a difference with growing up in church, and it's a difference where you are actively engaging, meaning you're reading your Bible, you're praying, you're praising, you're worshiping, you are making a conscious effort to be obedient to the things of Christ. There's a big difference, and I'm going to explain it to you. So like I said, I've been going to church since I was like 5 years old. I remember when my mom first started taking me to church, and I didn't understand why, because prior to that we was like not going to church. And so I did, getting up early in the morning to put on my little Sunday best and missing out on my morning cartoons did not sit right with me. But I'm a kid, and she has authority over me, so what can you do? So the first church we went to wasn't a great fit for us. They couldn't even remember our names. So we ended up going to another church. I actually didn't start going to this particular church, I think, until I was like 8 years old. And apparently my mom was going without me, which is cool, because again, I want to watch my cartoons. I want to, do what little kids do. So it was cool that she didn't take me. But when she did start taking me, it was very different. And what I mean by different, I used to hear stories how church folks, like, they had a whole list of rules and regulations and stuff, and it was like very constricted and restricted, and thou shalt nots, and you going to hell over the littlest things. It was like very rigid. But when she brought me to this particular church, they were very welcoming and loving. It was like very family oriented and close knit. And I actually developed like a really close relationship with one of the pastor's daughters. And to this day, like, even though life has us in two different paths and two different areas, but we're still in contact with each other. Like, that's my sis. I love that girl to death. No, I love her to life. Let me say it like that. I love her to life. And not only just her, but I pretty much grew up with her siblings. It was 6 of them. So I pretty much grew up with her siblings. And let me tell you, no church is perfect. But as long as I live and as long as God allows me to have my memory, I will never forget how her dad like really went to bat for all of us, especially the youth. So like I said, he has his children, 6 of them, but there were other children coming to the church. So it was a lot. It was a lot of us. He was gang. But he was, in addition to raising his own children, like, he was always there for us. I went through a lot growing up, single parent home, only being able to see my dad here and there, so it was tough for me. And I was not the easiest child to raise. I wasn't. I was a piece of work. I was. Fighting. I was a slugger, y'all. So fighting, my mom constantly having to come to the school, being suspended, being expelled from like 5 or 6 different schools alone in the 1st grade just for fighting. Cursing out the teachers, trying to fight the principal. Like, I was very angry as a child. And so I didn't really know that it was okay to express yourself through talking. I didn't really know how. I'm 5 years old. Like, I knew that something was bothering me. I just didn't know how to express it. And so it came out through anger and fighting and rage and all that unhealthy, toxic stuff. But by my mom taking me to this church and being around, all of this love and warm and comfort, her dad kind of like took all of us up under his wing. And so when I'm talking about like he showed up for us, graduations, like anytime one of us was graduating, he was there. He was there. Okay? He was there like we was his kids. Okay? And honestly speaking, like, I didn't, at the time, I'm a child, I didn't really know that support like that matters to a child. Seeing someone that say they care about them actually showing that they care through actions. And I'm sure my mom also appreciated, how he showed up for all of us. But yeah, he ain't never missed a graduation. Birthdays, he would shout us out for birthdays if he could. He, give us a little something. He encouraged us, he taught us the Bible, all kinds of stuff. And actually, by me coming as a child, coming to that ministry, like, it kind of opened the door to me, like, reading my Bible. Because, again, I'm a child. I don't really know about God and Jesus and the Bible and miracles and blessings and praise and worship. I'm just, like, going for what I see my mom. And this was a very, I don't want to use the word crazy. It was a very, like, vulnerable time. So my mom was, like, newly saved. She was a babe in Christ. So she was beginning to learn certain things. And as a child, I remember, like, when we would go to church, she was like, all right, so y'all know, I'm gonna put it like this. So y'all know on TikTok how they be like, show me you went to a black church tell me you went to a black church without telling me you went to a black church, right? So y'all know how they do the praise break, and it's always, you got like 5 different types of people that praise break. So you got the fainters, the dancers, the quiet, And you got the hurricane. So my mom, like me and the other kids in the ministry used to tease my mom a lot because it was like every time she would like go through her praise break and she would worship, it would be a nice clean row because we had like nice little, chairs or whatever. It wasn't like the pews like in the fancy churches. It was a small storefront church, but he was anointed. He was powerful. It was cool growing up in that ministry, like for real, for real. But anyway, so by the time my mom got finished praising the Lord, the chairs would be all all over the place, all out in that walkway. It would be all over the place. So we used to call her the hurricane. But as a child, like seeing this, I didn't like my mind wasn't computing, that she had to praise that way because there was a lot of things that she was going through that I didn't know as a child that that she didn't tell me, obviously, because I'm a child. I'm not going to really understand, adult situations. Even though I was wise beyond my years, very smart, but there was just certain situations that as a child you're not going to understand, And so as God was bringing her through and delivering her, she was praising her way through a lot of stuff. And so, like I said, I didn't really have a understanding, like, of all of that stuff. But the more that I kept coming and, listening in Sunday school, like my little brain started forming questions like, well, who is this God that they keep talking about? Who is this Jesus that they keep talking about? And I wanted answers. And so I remember my mom bought me a bunch of little Bibles. So I remember Precious Moments, the little kids, and they had like the big puppy dog eyes and the cute little button nose and all that. So I had a white Precious Moments Bible. I don't know where that Bible at, but there was another Bible that she bought me, another children's Bible, and it had like pictures and this was when representation mattered before it mattered. So this particular children's Bible, it was all of the I don't want to say characters, but it was all of the people in the story. So Jonah, Abraham, Sarah, Jesus, Paul, Peter, Joshua, Jonah, all of these people, Samuel, Isaiah, all of these people in the Bible, but they were black. And so that's why I said this was when representation mattered before it mattered, before before the conscious woke movement started, before the whole Black Lives Matter movement started. Little things were starting to surface concerning African American people. And keep in mind, this is mid 90s. So this was 1997, 1998. Because I believe when I started going to this church, I was about 8 years old. I was turning 8 or I was 8 already. So yeah, this was like mid 90s. And the more that I kept listening to the sermon, it just started stirring up a thirst and a longing to want to know, like, well, who is this God that they keep talking about? And like, what is happening with my mom? Like she's always, singing around the house and worshiping, praising, playing all of this praise and worship music. And like prior to her getting saved, weekends, she would play her little R&B and stuff like that. One of the songs I remember was Cheryl Lynn, Encore. And at the time, I didn't know that she was singing Your Love Deserves an Encore. I thought she was singing Caesar and I'm Don't Judge Me. So that's what I was singing. And when my mom got saved, like everything shifted. And so she would play her praise and worship music. She was, go out, buy all of these CDs. And I'm seeing all of these books on church and the Word of God and all this. I'm seeing this shift and I'm not quite understanding what's happening. And so I started going to the Bible for myself. And the more that I started reading the Bible, like I started off with Genesis. Because with the Precious Moments Bible, it said, see if you could read your Bible within a year. And so I felt like they was challenging me. So I was like, all right, a challenge accepted. So I started off with Genesis. And so when you open the Bible and you go to Genesis, at the top, most King James and New King James and all the other versions, more than likely you'll see at the top the first book of Moses or something like that called Genesis. So when I saw that, I'm like, who the heck is Moses? I thought, we was talking about thought we was talking about Jesus. And so, as I started reading, I started getting fascinated with the things that I was reading. I'm like, what? So by the time I got up to Moses, I was like, he parted the sea? So my little brain, my little brain is trying to articulate and picture a man putting his staff in the sea and the waters part. And that was fascinating to me. One, because I was an avid reader. I loved reading as a child. And I always laugh at that. I'm like, you know what, Lord, like as wild and unruly at times as I was, like, I love to read. Academically, I always excelled. So it's like reading the Bible when I first started out, it was like, oh, it's just another book to me. But the more that I was reading it, the more I was drawn to ask questions. And I'm like, all right, I'm going to contact this Jesus and ask him some questions. So I would, start talking to God. And I'm like, all right, well, if you're God and you did all of these things, like, well, why can't we see you? What do you look like? Where do you live? Do you have a mommy? Do you have a daddy? Do you have other children? Do they look like me? When can I go up there and see you? When can I come to your house? Can you come to my house? Like as a child, you're asking these kind of questions because it's like, how can I believe in something that I can't see? And I would ask my mom like certain questions, and I'm like, all right, well, mom seems to know who he is. so I would ask certain questions, and she would begin to talk to me and explain, well, no, mama, you can't see him physically, but you know that he's there. You can feel him. And I'm looking at her like, what you mean I can't see him? But y'all telling me he's real and I can't see him? It was a little confusing, but I didn't allow that to stop me from wanting to know more about who he is. And so, like I said, the more that I kept reading the word, I started feeling more drawn to him, and I started feeling more closer to him. And so I started talking to him more. And and the more that I started talking to him more, I started retaining a lot of the scriptures and lessons and stuff that I read. So when we would go to church and we would have Sunday school, and he would ask certain questions, and I was a little shy because I'm still new, but I would raise my little hand, and I would answer the questions, and I was right. And so then pride started creeping in, because then I started feeling like I knew more than everybody, and God had to humble me down, like, no, you don't know nothing, you're learning. And so I remember it was this one particular night at the church. I think it was like a Friday night or something like that we went, and it was a Bible study, and I was listening to his wife, and she was talking about being saved and being a Christian. And I remember I'm looking at my mom like, well, you a Christian, Mom? So she was like, yes. And I was like, so you saved? And so she was like, yes. I was like, so Jesus is coming back for you? And so she was like, yes, I would hope so. So I said, but what's going to happen to me? And so I kind of got upset, like, how are you saving everybody else? What about me? And so I remember raising my hand. This is like right before they was going to end the service. So I said, excuse me, I want to be saved. Why can't I be a Christian? And I remember his wife laughing, and she was like, you want to be saved? So I said, yeah, I want to go back with Jesus. And I remember I had no idea what being saved was, because again, I'm like 8 years old. So I have no idea what it meant to really be saved. But I just knew that I didn't want to be left behind. Because, how you want to take my mother and not take me? We a package deal. Who's going to look after me? you know? So, I accepted Christ at 8 years old. Like I said, I had no idea what that meant. I just knew that I wanted to be a part. I didn't want to be left out of nothing. So yeah, I accepted Christ at 8 years old, and I was so happy to be a part of this new thing. Because they was like, oh, it's a family, you're born again, and all this other stuff. So I was like, I have a new family. So I was so excited. Like, I'm in a new family. And that excitement caused me to go out in the street and talk to anybody that would listen to me about Christ. And so I would walk up to people, excuse me, and tap them. I'm a little kid. And they would look at me and they're like, yes. And I'm like, do you know Jesus loves you? And they would look at me like, this kid. And so they was like, yes. I was like, no, he really loves you. And I would just like witness to anybody that would listen. And it was just like such an excitement and joy to do it. But then as I got older, life started happening, and there were some things that I started dealing with: insecurities, low self-esteem, rejection, abandonment, anger, rage, bitterness, violence. And so I started deterring away from reading my word and wanting to go to church. After a while, I didn't want to go to church no more. I didn't want to be bothered, because I didn't realize that, misconception that a lot of us had. When you get saved, it doesn't mean that all of your issues and things that you did was going to be wiped away. You're not going to go through stuff. You still going to go through. It's just now when you're going through, you have power and authority to break certain situations and command certain situations to go. At the time, I didn't really have an understanding of that. And so I thought, okay, I'm saved and Jesus is supposed to love me, apparently. So that means all of my problems, he's going to take all my problems away. I'm not going to be sad no more. I'm not going to be sick. I'm not going to feel things anymore. I'm just going to be happy all the time. And so I was disappointed when I realized that that's not how it works. And with me, dealing with, being raised in a single parent home, not really being able to see my dad as often as I wanted to, having siblings and not being able to see them, being teased. Like, I was bullied so bad growing up. So bad. I loved school, but I hated going to school. And because I didn't know how to deal with bullying, it just made me, like, the only way I knew how to, I felt like, solve the situation was by fighting. So talking about being with the smoke, wanting all smoke, I was like that. I didn't care if I didn't win. I didn't care. If I won, cool. If I didn't win, cool. But my whole motto was like, nah, you gonna know who I am by the end of this fight. You gonna know. And so with me fighting all the time, of course, I was always in trouble, always in the principal's office. My mother always had to come up to the school for me. And so in my mind, I'm like, where's God? He's supposed to be helping me, and why is he allowing these things to happen to me? And so it just made me angry, and I started getting really angry at God. Like, why are you allowing all of these situations to happen to me? You're supposed to be protecting me. You're supposed to be my friend. You said you love me. Where are you? You ain't come down. You ain't get these people. Like, I was upset. And so by the time I got into high school, I was just like full-blown rebellious. I wasn't trying to hear nothing about church. Even though I still went to church, but I wasn't really trying to really be bothered. But even in my rebelliousness, like, there was always a part of me that knew it was but so much I could do. Like, there were certain situations that I would try to call myself getting involved in, and I would feel like this tugging, like, nah. And I couldn't do it. But there was some situations that I did get myself involved in, being rebellious, not want to listen, thinking I know it all. And I was angry. I was angry at myself. I was angry at God. I was angry at my parents. I was angry at the world. I just felt like everybody was out to get me. And so I was hanging out with the wrong crowd, hanging out with my friends and smoking and drinking and all this other stuff. And still going to church, still being ministered to, still being prayed over. And I used to hear all the time, like, you cannot escape your call. And I'm like, my call? What is that? And they was like, there's a call in your life, right? There's an anointing. You see things and you're an evangelist. All of these things I was being told, but I didn't really understand what that meant. So it was just like, yeah, whatever. But when I would hang out with my friends and we would talk about certain situations and stuff, right? I would always so I would hang out with my friends and we would talk about certain situations, and it's like the advice and the way that I would speak to them, it would always go back to what I was learning in church. And they used to be like, yo, preacher, you a preacher? You preaching to us and all this other stuff. Like, they would always like make little references to, the fact that I go to church. And, I would invite my friends to church. Like, that was never an issue. Anytime like there was some kind of youth service going on or like revival, I would be like, yo, come to my church or whatever. And 9 out of 10 times, like, they came, real talk, they came. And, they had a cool time or whatever. Unfortunately, like, they didn't go as often as I did, which is cool. And I wasn't one that tried to, like, force people to go to church or to believe in what I believed in. Like, if you came and it just wasn't for you, that's cool. But I started realizing, like, I really couldn't escape. Like, no matter how far I tried to run from God and run from this calling that everybody kept telling me that I had, it was like I would get so far, and then he would just yank me back by the back of my shirt. And this literally went on up until not too long ago, when I realized, like, yeah, where you going? It's time to stop running now. It's time to stop running. And it took like I said, it took a lot, and it was hard. I would see my friends like going out to the clubs and stuff. I tried to go to the clubs. I had that experience of going to the clubs and stuff. And no lie, like, after I had my daughter, it was just like that desire to want to be in the clubs, like, it was gone. And I remember the last time I went to the club, like a club setting, my daughter was maybe like 3 months old. No, she wasn't 3 months old. She was she was born June 2012. And the last time I've been in an actual club setting was like February 2013. So she was a couple of months old, like about 7-8 months old. And I went, dancing and have, but it felt like I was so alone. And I was surrounded by all my friends, but I felt so alone. And at the time, I didn't realize that God was dealing with me even then. And he would continue to deal with me, but me being rebellious and wanting to do things my way, like, it took a while for me to get to this point where I was just like, you know what? You got it. Let me just stop running into these brick walls and just do it your way. And like I said, it was hard. It was hard surrendering my life to something that I can't see, to someone that I can't see. It was hard. It was hard believing. It was hard having faith. It was hard trusting that he know me. He got me. He got my life. He got it all planned out. Even after I started like getting myself together and I stopped fighting and actually allowed God to like start cleaning me up, I lost so many friends. I was losing I was losing them even before I really made up my mind that I was going to really go forth in the things of God and really give God a chance to like really be obedient to his voice and listen and pray. I didn't realize that he was already in a process of getting me prepared and getting me ready to walk in this season of my life. And like I said, it has been a journey. It has been a journey from the time that I was born until now. It has been a journey. And you know what? There's some things that I definitely would have done differently, as far as just doing it his way from the beginning. Like, had I known that this is how my life could have turned out, being disobedient, I would have definitely just been like, you know what, forget how everybody feels and forget what people say and forget what they think. Excuse me. I would have definitely humbled myself and just did it his way. And even now, like, I have some moments, where the residue of being out there in the world and being out there in the streets, like, it rises up, and I be having to go through deliverance and all kinds of stuff. And sometimes, like, when I talk to him, I be like, God, I've been out there in the streets so much. Like, there's some things that I did being out there in the streets so much, like, they not going to even, like, the few friends I got left, like, they not going to believe that I'm really saved now, and I'm really going to church, and I'm really moving forth in the things of God. I'm really taking it seriously. And he had to let me know, it's like, if you want to show them, you want to convince them, you have, like, your life has to line up. And so a lot of stuff, like, I was like, you know what, Lord, alright, and I'm just cutting everything off. So I stopped drinking, I stopped smoking, I stopped being in environments that is not conducive to my growth spiritually. I just don't do it. I've been in a season where it's just been me and him. And I would be lying if I said it's easy. It has not been easy, because I'm still a young woman. I be having my moments where, like, God, I want to go back out. I want to go out. I want to hang out. I want to hang out with my friends. I want to do this. I want to do that. And it's just like, he starts bringing back to my memory every time I went back out there, the trouble I was getting into. And it's just like, you know what? It's time for me to be honest with myself. I'm not strong enough to maintain my stance and my walk and be around people and be in locations and things that remind me of my past. And it was something that my pastor told me. Let me just deviate from what I'm talking about real quick. I got a question for the seasoned saints out there. All right, I'm still learning, like, the levels and titles, right? So she was a praise and worship leader, and she became an intercessor, and she became an evangelist, and she became a pastor, and now she's an apostle. So, do I say, is the correct term my pastor, apostle, so-and-so? Or do I just say pastor so-and-so? Because I don't want to, like, not acknowledge her title. I don't really know, like, the logistics of that. Is that how we do it? My pastor, apostle, such and such? Or do I say my apostle, such and such? I don't know. Anyway, but I do acknowledge her. She is an apostle. Shout outs to Apostle Val. But it was something that she taught, and she was like, when God is, like, bringing you through and you going through deliverance, like, sometimes you gotta break soul ties, with locations, and not just people, but locations, because you could go into a particular location and you'll feel that sudden urge, that tug, that desire to go back and be a part of things that God has brought you out of. And honestly, like, before she said that, I really didn't know that that was a thing. I know about soul ties, and you heard me talk about it a lot if you've listened to my prior episodes. So I know about soul ties and strongholds. But I had no idea till she said it that a location could be a stronghold and a soul tie. I didn't know that. And you know what? When she said it, it made so much sense on why I kept going back to like certain situations and things, because I didn't break soul ties with the locations. And so when she said it, it was just like, and I was like, whoa. As I began to break soul ties with locations and stuff. And this is why, like, there's just certain things that I will not partake in and do, because I don't want my soul and my spirit getting tainted again from something that God has already cleaned me up from. You know what I'm saying? And so like I said, I just been on chill mode, just me and God, learning, growing, healing, discovering new things about me. And I could honestly say that, like, this journey, it's been hard, it's been tough, but it's also been filled with a lot of discoveries and finding out things about myself. And one thing I could say for sure, if you ask God to show you you, he will show you you. And let me also just say this, because it's all about honesty. I didn't like when he started showing me when he started showing me. I was like, no, that's not me. That's not me. I don't do that. I don't act like that. No. I was like in some real denial. And then after a while, he was like, oh, that's not you. So then he started using my daughter, and my daughter started acting like me. And then my mom was like, she only acting like you. And at first I'm like, whatever. But then I started paying attention. I'm like, wait a minute, she is acting like me. Oh, shoot, I do act like that. Okay, yeah, Lord, I need deliverance in that area. That's not good. I need to come up higher. So it's been a lot of tears. It's been a lot of laughs. It's been a lot of wow moments. It's been a lot of old snaps. But I would not trade this in. There's nothing in the world now that I want. I don't want to be in those streets. I don't want to be out there. The streets will eat you up, y'all. Like, the streets will eat you up. I don't want to be around people that don't mean me no good. I don't want to be around people that are lying, that are secretly hating. I don't want no ops around me. I don't. And so, like I said, being in this season where I'm by myself, like I said, it's been hard. It ain't easy, because I miss certain things. I miss going out with my friends. I miss going to brunch. I miss, being on the phone and texting and calling and video chat. I miss it. But I also know that he has me in a place right now where I just need to focus on him and heal and get myself cleaned up. And when it's time and when he's ready and he releases me, then I'll go out. I'll, be back outside and doing all those things. But it will be from a different standpoint. You know what I'm saying? It will be from a mature standpoint and a holy standpoint. Because one thing that I've learned is, if I'm going to name the name of Christ, then my life has to match when I'm speaking. You know what I mean? And one of the things I always said, I don't want to be no hypocrite. I didn't. So when I was out there, I wasn't going to church, because it was like, I'm not going to give the opportunity for people to call me no hypocrite. You ain't going to call me no hypocrite. So if I'm going to be a heathen, I'm going to be a heathen full hearted. And that's what I did. And when I made up my mind and said, I'm going to live for Christ, I'm going to really go with this, I'm like putting my best foot forward, that's what I've been doing. There's no in between. I'm not doing the lukewarmness. I'm over here, I'm over there. I'm not straddling the fence no more. If I'm following Christ, if I'm a part of the kingdom, if I want to go forth in Christ, if I want to be closer to him, I want to know more about him, then that's what I'm doing. All that other stuff is being, nah. That's the past. So, I hated the term church girl. In a way, I don't like it now. One, because I'm not a girl anymore. I'm a woman. But you know what? I kind of embrace. I embrace it. I embrace it because I'm safe. I'm protected. I'm loved. I'm growing. I'm healing. I'm moving forward. He's doing such a work in me, and it took me for a loop. Okay, and I was sitting here talking to him like, Lord, like you couldn't tell me 10 years ago that I would be here, like that I would really be going forth in the things of God. 10 years ago, I wasn't even, I was trying to figure out life and how I was going to take care of me and my kid and, partying and living life and enjoying myself and being a mom. I wasn't thinking about no God and all that, but like I said, it's tough. It's not easy. I go through stuff, but I'd rather go through stuff and know that I got God on my side than to go through stuff and be out there naked, no covering whatsoever. No. So, I say all of that to say to anyone that has that's wrestling with this, that's trying to figure out their purpose and trying to figure out where they fit and all of this. I encourage you, if you feel that tugging at your heart, listen, go with God. Go with God. Don't try to run from him. Please don't run from him. Don't find yourself in a Jonah situation. Don't do it. Don't do it. And this is how I'm going to close it out. So, boom, Jonah, right? For those of you who do not know the story of Jonah, it's in the Old Testament. It's a very, very short book. Maybe about 3 chapters long. It was straight to the point. So, Jonah was a prophet, and God wanted him to go to Nineveh to preach to the people because they were sinful, and Jonah was not trying to hear that. So this is how bad Nineveh was. So what's the worst hood in Brooklyn? I don't know. I don't want to say Brownsville. Is Brownsville still the worst hood in Brooklyn? Y'all let me know in the comments below, like which hood in Brooklyn is like the worst area. I don't know. It's between East New York and Brownsville for me. Because Bed-Stuy, Fort Greene, Crown Heights, all of those areas is like gentrified and getting cleaned up. So it's not as bad as it used to be. But I still feel like Brownsville hasn't really been hit yet. I don't know. So I'm going to use Brownsville. Shout out to Brownsville. Never ran, never will. But alright, so I'm going to use Brownsville. So picture, someone going up in Brownsville. And guys like, yeah, go to Brownsville and preach to them and let them know, that I'm getting ready to destroy their hood unless they get themselves together. That's what it was like. And Jonah was not with it. He was like, what? You want me to preach to them and help save them? Nah, they deserve to be punished. I'm not going there. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing it. And so he called himself running from God. Like, yeah, I'm out of here. I'm out. And he got on a boat going in the opposite direction of where God told him he needed to be. And he chilling on the boat, sleeping. And all of a sudden, God pulled up on the boat like, nah. And caused a storm to happen. And so, being in the boat rocking, waves is hitting up against the boat. Heavy winds, they couldn't even control themselves. It was a man down situation for real. Like they all was about to be got because Jonah, in his ignorance, rebelliousness, disobedience, and stupidity, decided to bring that drama to them. So they woke him up and they're like, yo, you sleeping, we about to be swimming with the fishes. We're sleeping with the fishes. We about to be shark food. And you sitting here sleeping. And so they trying to figure out, like, how did this happen? And so Jonah was like, yo, it's because of me. And so they like, what? You did this? So he started explaining his situation. They was like, yo, you running from God. And mind you, these people not even saved. Like, they had their own gods they was bowing down to. And they had to tell him, like, yo, you stupid. You trying to run from God? You trying to, really? And so what ended up happening was Jonah was like, yo, just throw me overboard and all this is going to stop. And they didn't want to do it, respectfully. And I get it. They, they already in a crazy situation. Now you telling us to possibly commit homicide? Really? But they ended up doing it. And as Jonah said, like the sea, the water, everything calm. It was like nothing never happened. And as Jonah was thrown overboard, God caused a whale to swallow him. And he had to sit in that dark, stank, dingy, wet, nasty, smelly place until God decided to let him out. And I think I had a Jonah experience. I gotta think about it some more before I share that story, but I think I did. I found myself in a dark, stank, nasty, dingy, wet, smelly, terrible, horrible place until I started crying out to God, and that's what Jonah did. So he's in that belly of the whale for like 3 days, 3 nights, and he finally humbled himself enough to pray and cry out to God, ask for forgiveness. And when he did, God heard him and allowed the whale to vomit him up on land, and he went and did what God told him to do in the first place. And so I say, like to say, like, yo, don't find yourself in his predicament. If you feel God tugging at you, just it's best to be obedient than to sacrifice. It's better than to obey. Just be obedient. Just do what he's telling you to do. And if you having these moments where it's like it's almost like a tug of war, like, yo, I'm young, or you could be, I don't want to call nobody old, but you could be a seasoned, I'll say seasoned. You could be a seasoned saint, and you just find yourself, wanting to do other things, and as we say, enjoy your life. But you feel like you don't fit in. It's because you're not fitting in. One major lesson that I've learned is that children of God is never going to fit in with the children of darkness. Like, we're never going to fit into that situation because we're not supposed to fit in. We're supposed to stand out. That's how God created us, to stand out, to be leaders, to be different. We're peculiar people. And it took me a while to learn that. And like I said, I would be around my friends. I would hang out. I would go out, and I would feel so alone. And I'm surrounded by all of these people that's like, yo, yeah, sure, we got your back. We love you. Yo, you my sis. You my, yo, what up, friend? And all this other stuff. And I felt so alone. And no one knew. No one was discerning the way that I felt. And that's when I realized I don't fit in. I don't belong here. This is not the desire of God for me to be here. I don't fit here. I don't fit in. But it took a while for me to get there. So I'm letting all of y'all know, everyone, if there is a call or an anointing on your life, you are never going to fit in. No matter how much you try to dumb yourself down, no matter how you try to speak their language, talk they talk, dress the way they dress, act the way they act, you're never going to fit in. And the children of darkness know, they can recognize someone that don't belong. They know. So it's better to just be a Daniel and stand alone. Stand on business. Even if you got to stand on business by yourself. Stand on business by yourself. And know that God is with you every step of the way. Okay? So this concludes my episode of On the Brooklyn Tip. Thank you guys for tuning in, listening. Don't forget to comment down below what you thought about the episode. If you liked it, if you hate it, if you have questions. I don't care. I welcome all feedback. Just be respectful about it. Alright, just be respectful. keep it cute. But I welcome all feedback. Don't forget to like, and if this is your first time checking out my channel on YouTube, welcome. I'm so glad you're here. Hit that subscribe button and share. I will see you guys later.